At the end of the day, people won't remember what you said, or really even what you did, but they will remember how what you said and did made them feel at the time. Sylvanus Windrunner, War Chief of the Horde. Those of you who don't know who that is, just ask a friend. They'll know somebody who knows who that is. But it's something that applies directly to dark horse propaganda, psychological operations that are going on right now in the media, in our government, that nobody truly wants to admit. We've talked about this over at the Florida Maki Patreon channel for a long time, and never has it been more important to understand the tactics and techniques of propaganda, or folks, you're going to fall into a pit. You're going to fall into a trap, and you're not going to see a way out. What if I told you the very method by which we are communicating ideas and consuming information is causing brain damage? It's causing people to try to perceive things in a way that we just weren't designed to. Florida Maki, do you have proof for this? I do. I absolutely do. How many of you out there have asked yourself recently, why am I so much more tired than I should be? I went to bed. I've got a comfy pillow. It was quiet. It was dark. It was cool. I've been eating right. I've been trying to do some exercise, but I wake up more exhausted than the day before. Well, there's an explanation for it. It has to do with the mind the human mind, trying to do something it was never designed to do. Now, we do a full breakdown on this. It was something that they covered with us back in the military, psychological operations. Florida Maki Patreon channel, that's the primary aim. Over there, we talk about the tactics and techniques and the tools that people will need to combat these psychological operations efforts by the media and by the government. It's, once you understand it, it's easy to combat. Now over there, base level right now is only $2 a month. It used to be $1, but after so many years, I had to actually just bump it up a little bit. The most recent video we put up was earlier today, just an hour or two ago, and it's a full and complete breakdown of why you are so tired. It has to do with the way the brain is wired. And we are creatures that were evolved to survive a certain way a long, long time ago, and how we're trying to survive now just doesn't work. Now, I'd love to have you over there. I know the content isn't for everybody over at the Patreon channel. It's fully refundable. First 90 days. All the way into May. Was it February, March, April, May? All the way into May before you'd have to make a decision. $2 a month. Love to have you over there. Speaking of May, here's a great example. Great example. Those of you who are Floridians can identify with this. To the rest of the country, this is what Florida is year-round. First day of spring, summer, fall, winter. But is that actually the case? Well, of course it's not. If you've lived in Florida for any amount of time, you know that there are distinct seasons down here. Now, is there snow on the ground? No. Do the leaves really change color? Not really all that much. A lot of evergreens down here. Can you go to the beach every day? Not in a bathing suit, and not swimming for sure. Depending on where you're at, there is a difference. Some people have said, Florida Monkey, what is it living in Florida really like? Well, the difference between me being able to tell you and you experiencing it is the reason people can't sleep right now. You see, I could do everything I could possibly do here on this channel to describe to you what a spring day in late April in Florida is like. It's close to heaven. That time of year, the smells in the air, the temperature, the sunshine, everything is just about perfect. Now by summertime, late summertime, it gets oppressively hot. But in springtime, it's beautiful. It's absolutely wonderful. And you could, if you wanted to, right now, go buy some spring fresh air scent for your house. Go buy some plants. Turn up the thermostat so that's 78 degrees inside. And you could do all of these things, but you could never really recreate a spring day in Florida. It's the difference between a quantitative measurement and a qualitative measurement. Our brains are designed to absorb information qualitatively. It's the entire experience, the smell of the salt air at the beach, and the way the sun is different in the spring than, say, even the late summer and into the winter. Everything is just about perfect in the spring, especially in North Florida. There's no way I could ever, in 2 dimensions right here on the internet, no matter how fantastic your TV or your phone was or whatever you're watching on was, could you ever get a real sense of that? And that applies across the board to all sorts of information. Here's a better example. NCAA bans transgender athletes, biological men, from women's sports 1 day after Trump signs EO. Trump responds, I'm sure everybody is super happy about this, as am I. As am I. Quantitatively speaking, it's a great move, and qualitatively, it's going to change a lot of lives. But we did this in Florida back in 2021. The Fairness in Women's Sports Act in Florida was 2021. But that was only one state, Florida, Maki. What about the rest? Yes, exactly. Why didn't the other 30 red states that believed this, why didn't they all pass their own executive orders? Why didn't all of these other 30 governors, there's 31 red states, why didn't they all do what Governor DeSantis did in 2021? Why? Is this a quantitative measurement of the beliefs of conservatives or a qualitative one? Meaning, is it about how you think, or on paper would it work, or is it about doing the right thing because it's the right thing? Here's even a better example. A woman is ticketed for wearing a bikini in 1957. Now, you'd say, well, that was a different time, Maki. They had different standards of what was allowed. What was the real offense, though? Evoking thought or evoking being provocative in public? I don't think it was the men that were complaining, right? We have something called the 14th Amendment, though. At Florida, Maki, what does this have to do with anything? Just stick with me. All persons born or naturalized in the United States can't be deprived of life, liberty, property, or denied protection, equal protection of the law. You see, if you scroll down here and you look at this order, the new policy still allows biological females to compete on men's teams. Now, quantitatively speaking, that is a violation of the 14th Amendment. Qualitatively, it's not, though. That's the difference. See, it wasn't men that were complaining about this. It was women. And what that shows, basically speaking, is that why wasn't there at the time tickets given to men who were walking around in a state at the beach that could possibly be seen as provocative to women? You see, back then, they knew the difference between quantitative truth and qualitative truth. Women weren't complaining about this. Women were complaining about other women walking around in bikinis. But men were not complaining about either one. So what does that show? That the 14th Amendment is a qualitative thing, not a quantitative one. Meaning you can't read it literally. You can't read it literally and enforce it literally. There are not only physical differences between men and women, there are psychological differences between men and women. Psychologically, this was a much bigger problem for women, conservative women at the time, other women walking around in bikinis, than it was for the men at the time. Because if it had been the case that men and women are exactly right, there would have been women saying, okay, we need to write tickets to men who are shirtless, who look like this at the beach. Right? Just as provocative, right, ladies? just as provocative to women as the bikini is to a man. It's not, is it? See, it's just like this executive order that doesn't keep trans men out of men's sports. Florida Mach-E, that's just ridiculous. I agree, it's ridiculous. Because they're not really a threat to men in men's sports. Nobody's going to get hurt. So, but what do we say about the 14th Amendment? The 14th Amendment quantitatively says that, equal protection of the law, men or women, you get the equal protection, and the current state of things in the country doesn't work that way because there are differences between men and women that go beyond just the physical. And that is what's really going on. There's going to be propaganda come out and say that there is no difference when there is. And it's far beyond just the physical differences. Our brains are designed to operate in a qualitative way, meaning in 3 dimensions, where information and emotion and all sensory inputs are all put together into one picture. When you reduce things just to quantitative fact and information, your brain will short circuit. Your brain will go on overtime and overheat to try to understand things that can't be understood quantitatively when they're only supposed to be analyzed qualitatively. Just like looking at pictures of Florida. It's not the same in the spring, summer, fall, and winter, depending on where you're at. And regardless of what it is or isn't, there's absolutely no way online with any images or sounds you can ever get a true appreciation of how beautiful Florida is in the springtime. At least here in North Florida. So, anyway, we go even further into this over at the Florida Mach-E Patreon channel. Love to have you over there. There's 4 levels, 2, 5, 10, and 15. Whatever's for you. I could sure use your help, guys. I really could. God bless. Pray for each other. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. Lift each other up. Like, share, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.